Okay, so thank you for coming to the series of webinar. And today what we will talk about is ELAN basics and subtitling videos. And yes, and please just stop me when you have a question. Just write your questions in the chat, and we will be monitoring them so we can answer them all of them together at the end, and also in between as well. So. Yes, I'm Elwin Huaman, and I'm an intern in the ELP project. Uh, and now I start with my presentation. So just to have some time for all the things that we want to do today. So um, we will. I divided this presentation in three main parts, basically a little bit of the introduction about ELAN, and key concepts about how to manage the system, and also an example about annotating with ELAN, and a third part, which is subtitling with ELAN and VLC media player. I think this is a most common media player on all operative systems. It's open source as well, so just to try it out. All right, so in the introduction, we will talk about ELAN installation and key concepts. So what is ELAN? It's basically an acronym for Eurico Linguistic Annotator. It's an annotation tool that allows you to create, edit, visualize, and search annotations for video and audio data. So I tried out quite a few times, and it works perfectly for most of the things that I'm doing. And one of the good things that ELAN does is that it's integrating most of the current tools as well. So we will talk about this a little bit also later. And it was developed at the Max Planck Institute for Psycholinguistics in the Netherlands. So as I said, it's open source, so you can just download and install it in any operating system that you want or that you have. And the latest release was in May of this year. And what they did is mainly to improve the backup system, which now allows you to turn it on or off the backup system. So there is a community behind that supports the ELAN software. So just check it out when you have questions regarding the ELAN software, some plugins, extensions, or whatever, then you can contact them as well in the forums or just go to the support. So the links are in the slides. So as I said, it's available in Windows, Mac OS, Linux, and during this webinar series, the ELP project has hosted a couple of times the presentation to introduction to ELAN software, and there are videos also available for Windows, Mac OS, and today we will, well, my system that I use is Linux, so we will be working with this basically in the background with Linux system. And quick concepts about the ELAN software is that it's mainly for annotation of videos and audios. So basically you can encode basically subtitles, create annotations. You can have different ways of visualizing these annotations. You can also segment the audio and the video for making the annotations and so on. So it's really, really interesting, that part. And one of the good things that it supports different levels or tiers. So a tier is basically a set of annotations that share the same characteristics. For instance, if you want to create a tier or a level for a transcription for a specific language, if a video is in Quechua, then you can create a tier in Quechua, then you can create a different tier for, let's say, the translation in English, or a tier for creating a different, for example, the orthographic transcription, or any kind of description or tagging or annotation of the texts of the transcriptions. So there are different levels. There are tier types as well that are also acting like a level of hierarchies between the tiers. And so you can, for instance, separate it by persons, the speakers basically, and also by, as I said, by languages, by, I don't know, for the gestures, morphs, motions, part of a speech, and so on. So it's very, very convenient in that part. We will not talk that deep, but we will work with this. Then we have some templates. For instance, if you have a big project where you want to a bunch of audio files or videos that you want to annotate in a certain way. For instance, all of them should have perhaps a transcription in a specific languages, 2 languages, then or in specific tiers that you are defined in a template. Then you can just select these templates and apply to these audios and videos. So it's already set it up for you working on this. Then the annotations files that are used in the ELAN software is an .eif format. So a project, when you start to work in a project on ELAN, it is basically a container for all the information that you have. If you imported or loaded video, audio, the transcriptions, the annotations, and everything, it will be saved as a project. Then the media files that are supported by ELAN are mostly video and audio, and in different extensions also. Also, but yes, the MPG, WAV, MP3, and so on, MP4, MPG. So yes, so you can work with this. Okay, so we can do some annotation with ELAN software. And before to go on to this, we would look into the interface of the ELAN software. So the main thing that we will see in the ELAN window is basically a menu bar at the top left. So where we will work a lot with this because we will create annotations, we will define tiers, we will also change the views and also navigate through the options of the ELAN software. For instance, the options for segmenting, the options for transcribing, the options for annotation, and so on. Then we will have the media controls and the recognizers and viewers. So these are options for in specific views. For instance, if we annotate in this video, then we will have annotations that we can see it in a as a grid, in a format of a grid, or text, or subtitles, and so on. And we can have some specific tools or extensions that are useful for annotating and segmenting the audios and videos. Then what else we have here? We have the volume of controlling the volume of the video and also the speed of the video. Then down we have the annotation density. For instance, the annotations that we have also the specific files that we imported into the ELAN project. So we can select them if you are working with a video or with only with the audio and so on. Then we have the tiers here. So for specific types of annotations for part of speech, translations, and so on. Then we have the timeline viewer where we can see all the annotations that we have done. And of course, the waveform viewer of the files as well. When we start a new annotation project, it's basically we create a new project in ELAN software, and we will face this window. So in this window, what we will do is basically to select the specific files that we will work with. So we have, for instance, MPG and WAV files, and then we select them and import it or move it into the right side panel. So once they are in the right side panel, we can click OK, and they will be loaded into our project. So why this selection happens? Because there are also templates that we can import to work with these files. But today we will only use the medias and we will not work with templates. Okay. So if everything works well, so I set it up this video as a backup just in case something fails or does not work. So we will let's get started. So once we open ELAN, we will have this interface. What we will do now is to create a new project. So we will just start ELAN and write a name, for instance, Kitcho, and I will import the files that I want to work with. So the first thing that I would like to work is with this video, and I will select it, and then I will add it to this panel, and then I play OK. It's initializing, so now we just wait a little bit, and okay, now that's what we have. So we have this video which has one specific tier, which is the default one, and it lasts for almost 7 seconds, more or less. Okay, so now what we would like to do as a first step is just to segmentate it, because there are 2 persons and also there are dialogues in the video, so that we would like to transcribe the dialogues for it. So what we will do is just go to the options and go to the segmentation mode. In the segmentation mode, we can click on controls, and we can, in my case, for me, it's sometimes really fast when people talk, and it's not really easy to segmentate and to select the specific times when people are talking. So I will reduce this speed. So I will just put it in 50 for my case. Then I will just show it a little bit bigger here, so I could see the entire time of the video. So for segmentating, what we will do is basically just press and enter for starting the segmentation. For instance, I will just listen to the video. Okay, so in the video there are the dialogues are more or less divided in 5 segments. So what I will do is just stop or tap into the space keyboard. So it pauses the video and gives me time to create a segment. So to create a segment, you can just type, for instance, enter. You can just tap enter, and then for the start of the segment, and another enter for the end of the segment. So in my case, I will start with an enter. I will play. Then the segment is finished here, so I press enter. Then I play again. There is one affirmation here, so I will create the segment. And it's just this segment, really small. And then we continue creating segments by pressing enter. Okay. So at the end, there are 4 segments. I think some of the segments can also be divided in more specific ones. However, just for this specific case, let's divide it. We can listen as many times as we want. Then I think there is a segment here as well. So I will just divide it here and create another one here and end it here. Okay, so I more or less I have 5 segments in this video. Then what I will do now is basically fill in the segments. So I will go to the options and go to the annotation mode. In the annotation mode, there is this tier, the default one. If you want to change the name of the tier, we can just go to the tier, change tier attributes. Then we have these 4 options: add a new tier, change, delete, or import. So we want to change the default and we want to rename it to the Quechua tier. We change it and the name of the tier is changed. We close that and now we have the tier for a specific language. Now what we could do is either fill in by the segments by using the right panel, the option grid, and then we can select Quechua. And then as we see, the segments are empty, no text are there. So what we will do is just to fill in the text there and start to listening. So a different mode for doing this as well is just to go into the options and in the transcription mode. And then we can add here, there are around 5 segments here. So we can select type, the default one. We select the tier, which is the Quechua, apply, and apply. So what we will do here is just, if we click here, it will start the video and will stop at the end of the segment. Then we can have these segments and already separated and we can just listen to it. And we can start adding the text there, transcribing. All right. So now we ended adding the transcription for this text. It's in the Quechua language. So now we can just change to the options, to the annotation mode. And this is how we can see this. So there is in the grid, or we can see it as a text as well. Select the tier always. These are the 5 segments in this dialogue, in this video. So in the grid mode, we can have this annotation, the begin time and the end time, and the duration of this annotation. Now, what we do with this, we export. We can export it in different ways. So we just click on File, and then we export it as the penta file that you would need. For instance, if we want to add later the subtitles for this specific video, then we will export this as a subtitle text. So we select the Quechua language, and then it will give us a SRT format file. So for the name of the text, we can just put it Chitchat Quechua, save it. Okay, so we have this annotation creation, and also we see how to we saw how to segmentate the video. Good. So now what we will do in the following slides is basically we will annotate also manually by adding the times, the proper times, the start time and the end time. But we will do it later so we can have time for exploring more about the ELAN software. Let's get started. So, okay, so now there is an interesting part here about annotating an audio file. And here we are using a specific extension for the ELAN software that allow us basically to create the segments fastly, because sometimes we have a long audio file and then it's not easy, as you can as you saw it, it's not easy to segmentate the times. The time where it begins with the time where it ends, and every time it's a little bit not easy to do it. So there is an option to do it, so let's check it out. All right, now what we have is just an audio file without video, and the audio is in a WAV format. So let's work with this. Okay, we just create a new project, maybe just audio test, something like this. And then we will just import the audio WAV file and click OK. It's initializing now. So what we will do now, and I would like that you also can do this, it's the audio file, it's in English. So the interesting part of this audio file is just that we could try some recognizer that it should work also in your systems, in ELAN in general. So the audio file, as I said, it's in what we will try is the silence recognizer. So basically what we will do is, instead of trying to match where are the dialogues, we match where are the silence. So the silences, right? The silent segments. So it's easier to identify which segments are not the silent ones or where the dialogues happen. So we can distinguish them and have it easily. So let's select manually, because we can train also this silence recognizer, but we will do it only manually. Then the only thing that we will select is the silence recognizer and the audio file, which is already selected. And then we can just run a start. And as you can see, it already selected the silences in the video. If we play. Hello to everyone. Today we will talk about ELAN and how we can improve our transcriptions there. As you can see, the segmentation is already there. So what we will do now is just to, for instance, go to the options. We are in the annotation mode, of course, and we can change the tier or add new tier. This is the default tier, and what we would like to add is the, for instance, close. Since we have we can create the tier automatically, then we will select not the silence, but where the dialogues are happening. And then we can create one specific with a name channel. In this case, we create it. And if later we would like to add some tier for the translation of this dialogue, then we can do it twice. Okay. We just close this, and then we have the tiers here, the channel 1 and the channel 2. What we will do now is modify the tiers, change it to parameters. So instead of the channel 1, we will name it as the English, which is the language of the audio. So it changes in English. Then we select the channel 1 to maybe to translate it to Spanish. All right, change it, and we have these two tiers. We close this. Okay, then we can proceed to the options, and then we can go to the transcription mode. And then we have already, I think it's around 4 dialogues there. So, and then we can select the type. We have the default one, and we select the tier, which is the English. In this case, we can select the English and Spanish. So this is fine. Apply and apply. Okay. So what we have now is, hello to everyone. The segment it plays automatically, and since we listen, we start to transcribe this text. So in English, the first segment is hello to everyone, and in Spanish, I will just
Hello to everyone.
put it hola a todos, and we can hear the second segment.
Today we will talk about ELAN.
Okay, and then we can have this also in Spanish.
Today we will talk about ELAN
Then we can go to the third segment.
and how we can
y de cómo podemos.
and how we can
Then we have the last segment.
improve our transcriptions there.
All right, so we have
improve our transcriptions there.
Perfect. Now we have the segments annotations, and now we just options the annotation mode, and we have our entire audio done quite fast. This works because in the stylus recognizer you have certain languages already implemented there. So if, for instance, you want to do a different language, so it will be harder. For instance, I tried with the Quechua language and it was not really accurate with the segments. So, and then I reviewed a couple of times in order to match the proper times for the segments. So, but with some languages it works perfectly. So yeah, give it a try and have fun with this. Yes, so that is, it was a little bit easier maybe to segmentate the audio in this case. So it works with some languages, but it does not work with other languages. So probably it will work with English, Spanish, German, Italian, and the high resource languages, but maybe not with the under resourced languages. Okay, so now also I wanted to do some subtitling with ELAN and the software VLC Media Player, and also some practical exercise here. And for that, before to explaining the subtitling, I would like to basically go to the one slide. Okay, so I think if you have installed already ELAN, what we could do is maybe perhaps not the video subtitling because you need another software, the VLC software. Most of the operative systems, they have it already by default, but if not, then we can work with the audio segmentation with ELAN. So in order to do that, you can go to this URL or scan the QR code and download the materials from there. There will be some folders, and the folder that you should look at is the exercise audio segmentation, and you will have two files, the two ELAN webinar audio.wav and the two exercise audio text transcriptions.doc. So basically, you just need the WAV file, and the transcriptions is just already done by me, but in order to play and to catch up with this exercise, you can already start downloading these files. Okay, and we can copy this into the chat as well, so you can have it there. Okay. Okay, it should work with this URL. So once you're there, you just download the files that are there, and so we can play afterwards. Okay, but for subtitling with ELAN and VLC Media Player, so I just wanted to, maybe all of you, maybe some of you already tried out this VLC Media Player, because it's somehow by default in all the operating systems that I used to work with. In Windows, it was by default years ago. In Linux, it also comes by default. So kind of I don't know. I mean, it works in Mac OS as well, but I'm not sure if it comes by default. So it's really open source and free, so it's easy to download as well if you don't have it there. But it's easy to get. So you just go to this website and download the VLC media player. And also, it was also updated in the a couple of months ago, and it's also available in mobiles, so it's working quite well there. There is also a community and support behind. You just go to the forum, or they have a wiki page as well. And yes, you can subscribe to their mailing list and also catch up with their support and also new features that they are supporting. And okay, so in order to subtitle in a video, we need two things, right? So we need the subtitles, the transcriptions in a specific format, and also the specific video that we are working with. So for that, let's do it then. What we will do now is creating the subtitles and subtitling a video with using ELAN and VLC video platform. So what we will do is now that we are in ELAN and we create annotations, they are in Quechua and they are in English. So what we will do is just go to the file, export as, and there's an option for subtitles text. So we click to it, and then we select which languages we want to export as a subtitles. So we select Quechua and English, or you can select only one of them. So we select both of them, and then we click in OK, and then we save it. Once we save it, we will have the subtitles of this project created, stored in the computer. Now what we will do is just to open VLC media player. And with this software, what we will do basically is just go to the media and click on convert and save. Then here we will select our video, which is here. I saved in project, subtitling, and I have the video here. I select the video, and I also select the subtitle file, which is in the same folder, the SRT file, and then convert and save. Then here we will just go into the configurations, check that everything is as we want, the encapsulation, MP4, video code, audio codec, subtitles, and then let's check that the subtitles, so usually it comes like this, subtitles, and then we should click here, overlay subtitles on the video. And we click save, and then we browse where we want to save the file. We save it here, and we just change it the name. Okay, and then we start. So once it will start, it will progress the bar here. So it's more or less in the 30%, 40%. And when the video is converted, it will automatically add the subtitles into the video. So we can share it and the subtitles will be there. Okay, perfect. So now that it finished, we can go to the folder where we saved our project. So now it's finished. So we just go to the project and subtitling, we change the name to sub, and then we can just play it here. And the subtitles are placed there. Perfect. Okay, so what we have just saw is the way how we can add the subtitles in a specific video. So once we generated them, we can add them to our video, basically. Okay, so there is this exercise to add in the subtitles to a specific video, the same procedure as before, as I explained it. So you can just, I think we have 10 minutes. So overall, so either we do the subtitle, but I'm not sure if all of you have the VLC media player, but you can do anytime afterwards as well, rewatching the video, the webinar. But what we could do is this exercise of audio segmentation, automatic audio segmentation. So if you just go to this bit.ly ELAN workshop URL, you will find the folder with the files that we will work with. Okay. So I hope you have the link and you could download. You have downloaded. Okay. So what we will do is just basically open the ELAN software. Mine is in this directory. Okay, so usually it comes very empty. So here you should start a new project. So we go to File and we start new. And then we select which files we want to work with. So in this case, I have specifically the audio and the ELAN webinar audio. And then I just click to import it or load it into the project. So once I load it into the project, I can click OK, and it will initialize the project. Okay. So is anyone perhaps following this? So I can comment in some of the ideas here. So if you're in this part of the video, if you are able already, were able to import the audio file, then we can go to the recognizer. And here there are various options. So probably some of you heard about Whisper, Transcribe, Translate as well. I tried out, but it's not properly working. So with a silence recognizer, it's enough for what we want to do. So we just select this option, this recognizer basically. And if we could have more files here, we could select the specific one. Since we have only one, then it's this one. Okay, so now as you saw it, there is a window that it's appearing all the time, which is about the backup system. So this is the automatic backup, which is on, and you can configure it here. So basically you can select the backup interval 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. If something happens, then it backs up your project basically every 1 minute. So if anything happens with your computer or the system, then it saves it for you. So you don't have to worry about this. Or you can just turn it off. Okay, so continuing, we have this file that we want to segmentate. So, and we want to do it automatically because we don't have, sometimes with this particular audio file, it's really easy because it's really short. But we could have a long interview and it's not always easy to identify where are the segments and how to annotate them. So in order to do that, we are just using a recognizer, silence recognizer, so which will help us to recognize the silences and where people are speaking. For that, we just go into the start, and it automatically recognizes all the segments here. The S for silence and the X for labeled data, basically, labeled segments. So what we will do here is just change the tier description. Instead of default, I will call it English and change it, and it changed the name here. Then we close it, and then you could have more, and also you can create the tiers automatically as we saw it, and it will automatically create it in a different channel. And well, this is okay. And we select only the label X, not the silence ones. So we just create this. And then if we want to change this, then we can just go to the tiers, change their attributes. And we want to change the channel one. Yeah, this would be, I don't know, maybe we can use it for Spanish translation. Okay. So for instance, if we want to select one specific tier or segment, then we can just go here. It's easy sometimes if it's segmented already, then we can just click this segment, double click, and then we select where we want to annotate. I think it was hello to everyone. Yes. And then in the Spanish, you can double click there as well, and then type directly there, and you can listen it by here.
Hello to everyone.
Okay, so this was Wright's annotation here. Then you can do the same here, or you can go to the option, the transcription mode, which is a different view, basically. Does not change much. It's just the view, how you want to annotate.
Hello to everyone.
And you can create more. So we go to the annotation mode, and we have in the English, so we only have one segment. So if we want to create another segment, it will be just double click, this one too, this one too. Okay, so we created 4 segments for the English and 4 segments for the Spanish one. The Spanish ones, they have hola todos and XXX. The English one has one text, but the others are empty. So if we go to the options, the transcription mode, we can have here the hello to everyone, and we have
about ELAN and how we can improve our transcriptions there.
and then you
Today
can
we
fill
will
in
how
the
we
text
improve
here.
our transcriptions there.
Okay, and yes, and the one thing that also you can do is basically add new tier by perhaps, for instance, we go to the annotation mode, and I don't know, maybe there was a missing text at the, let's say there was some annotation in one specific part of the audio, so we can just go to annotation, a new annotation from begin to end time. So in this case, we just define the time. Maybe it was from 2 to during this time. So I will just add it to the English and Spanish and say, okay. And then it creates a segment here with an empty annotation. So we could have here. And also, if we want to modify the segment, it's not possible by this view. We need to go to the option segmentation mode, and then you can modify the segments. For instance, drag and drop, or you can just make it shorten or make it larger, longer, and so on. So it could vary for each of the. Now I'm working with the Spanish. Double click if you want to work with the English, or double click if you want to work with the Spanish one. So if with the Spanish segment, then I do something like this and so on. So yes, we got the option annotation mode. Perfect. That's great. Okay, so what else we have here? Okay, my internet is not good right now.
Luckily, we still
Okay.
hear you.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Anna. Okay, perfect. And we have this, we have tried this. If you didn't have much time to try it out now, but you can do it later. So you have all the files, the videos, or only the audio, the transcriptions, and also the subtitles created already. So you can play with them and then get familiar with the ELAN software, right? So okay, so I also tried out a lot with ELAN this couple of days ago, and it's very interesting and very powerful if you want to do it, the transcription. So give it a try. More additional material that you can watch out is also the previous ELP editions and the webinars, because there is an intro to our subtitling in ELAN. In 2020, there was an intro to ELAN basics as well, to metadata, file management, and ELAN basics that we didn't talk much about, but it's really interesting because all the annotations that you are creating can be saved with a specific ontology and vocabulary that could later be could be used for making some reasoning behind. So we didn't talk about this, but it's really, really interesting because machines are working with this quite a lot. For instance, we can just tag part of a speech text in the videos, and this is fantastic because it could help, and we can build some data sets that are very powerful, not only for humans but also for machines in some sense. Yeah, and there is an intro to ELAN and video subtitling as well, and what we did today as well. Then you can also check out the ELAN documentation. It's a really, really full and very detailed manual of the ELAN software. It's around 400 pages, really, really rich, and you can find it in PDF or HTML. Then you have a lighter version of it, how to guide PDF, 20 pages, easy to grab and just read it easily and fast. And also there are another screencasts of a few non-basic functions provided by ELAN. So it's also nice to have, for instance, if you want to change the size of the font of your interface, because maybe in the video you saw it and it's really small, some of the size of the interface, so you can increase the font size also of the entire interface. Then more tutorials about create new annotations by entering their begin and end times, configure the spectrogram viewer, and so on. So there are really a lot of videos about ELAN software. that you can check it out also. So it's really, really a nice software. And with that, then I think I'm finishing on time. Thank you for your attention and your patience. I hope you get some insights about ELAN software and you can give it a try with the materials that we provided. And yes, it's time of questions if you have some, or yeah, just comments.
Fantastic. Thank you, Elwin, for that really helpful and thorough introduction to ELAN. I will see if we have some questions in the chat. There's one that asks, so languages are there by default that we can select?
Yes, for instance, some of the I guess it's referred to the recognizer or about the tiers. If it's about the recognizer, yes, there is a list of languages that are supported. So Spanish, English, German, and high resource languages are supported there, but under resource languages, they are not there yet. So this is a little bit tricky in that aspect. Yeah, and the interface, it also can be changed in different languages. Not all languages are supported, but yes, there are also about the interface. You can change the language in Spanish, in English, and so on.
Awesome. Thanks, Elwin. If anyone else has questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or raise your hand and you can just ask them out loud. But this is also something that probably you might start having questions when you practice using ELAN on your own. So Elwin, are you open to people contacting you with questions after this?
Absolutely, absolutely. If anyone has a question regarding the ELAN or subtitling or the software that was VLC software, yes, please just reach out to me and I will be happy to help you with anything related to ELAN basics. Yeah.
That's great. All right. If it's okay to share your email, you can reach him at elwin@endangeredlanguages.com. Let's see, we have another question. Will it be helpful to make any kind of dictionary in any language?
Definitely. I think one of the parts that I didn't mention perhaps here is that with the annotation system, you really can go really deep into this annotation system. So you could have a hierarchy of, for instance, a paragraph, then a sentence, then a word, then part of a speech, then describing the specific parts of the language there. You can take them as a lexemes and start to describe them. So definitely, after annotating carefully with ELAN, you can export it and convert it in a dictionary. Absolutely. That will be very, very cool, actually.
Awesome, thank you. And yes, ELAN is also great for keeping track of where you might find audio clips to use in talking dictionaries or other learning materials. We have another question from Akhtar. Can ELAN handle multiple speakers or languages in one project?
Yes, it works with multiple persons, so you can annotate. Yeah, yes, it would work. I didn't try it, to be honest, but I think there's an option there that we can explore. But yes, yes.
Yeah, I just sort of lazily do multiple tiers for multiple speakers. I don't know if there's a better way to do it, but it's definitely possible.
Yes, if it's about, for instance, if two people are speaking in the video, then you can just create a different tier and describe, for instance, the one person that is what is saying and the second person a different tier. That's definitely possible. I was wondering maybe if it could work like if ELAN supports community work, but synchronous. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's a matter of checking. But definitely you can annotate different languages in one specific project.
All right. I have another question from Abdul. Can we embed 2 or more languages in subtitles?
Yes, yes, definitely. Yes, it's possible. Yeah. And also that's, yes. And in that case, I would just recommend to create different levels or tiers for defining. So whether these annotations are in a specific language, but they're still to the same speaker, let's say, something like this. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and we saw a great example of multilingual subtitles in your sample video, Elwin. We have another question from Stuart. How does the ELAN language annotation system compare to other annotation systems in terms of user friendliness and effectiveness for linguistic research?
I think other softwares can work quite well as well, but what I found about ELAN is that it's very handy and easy to use. So, and also, I think the idea behind ELAN is also this open source movement and also trying to give the power to the annotators, basically, not just trying to, okay, upload your text and we will do the work for you, but it's more like you can annotate and you can still own the data and so on. So I think because other tools do the same as well, like ELAN, but they are not that they cannot target very complex tasks, basically. Of course, ELAN has limitations, but yeah, from my experience, I think ELAN is quite good on this.
Yeah, agreed. It takes a little bit of learning to get the hang of it, but it's very powerful when you're doing a lot of annotation. We have another question from Paula. I have problems with the characteristics of tiers. Are there any videos about that?
Okay, so with the tiers, well, from my basic use of the annotations, it's just that we can create and define certain structure for annotating the text, basically the transcriptions. So as I mentioned before, if you want to annotate, for instance, you can start with a sentence, then you can start, then you can continue in a more deep level, annotating the part of a speech of this text, or go first for the lexemes and then parts of a speech, and then maybe go even deeper. And the really cool thing about this is like this annotation that you are creating can be exported and then can be describe it in a graph format as well, where every word or lexemes are connected and the relationships between them are also shown there. Yeah. I hope I answered the question.
Awesome. Thanks, Elwin. Let's see, we're a little bit over time. Anybody have any other questions? And if not, again, Elwin can be reached by email if you run into any problems while you are starting to use ELAN, or you can also go to the ELAN support website and forums. There are a lot of very talented ELAN users there who can also help you out. And then let's just give a big round of applause to Elwin for this fantastic workshop on a tool that many people have wanted to know how to use. Thank you so much, Elwin. This was great. And we will see y'all next week for another session, this time on some of the tools that you can use for creating language materials in addition to ELAN. So we'll see y'all next week. Everybody have a good, safe, healthy weekend. Take care, y'all.